Have you ever woken up feeling like something's just off? Maybe you're surrounded by family, friends, or a comfortable home, but there's this quiet sense that your spark, that joy you used to feel, is slipping away. If you're nodding along, you're not alone. As we move into our 60s, 70s, and beyond, life can throw curveballs that make happiness feel harder to hold on to. But here's the good news: you have more control over your joy than you might think. Sometimes, it's the small, sneaky habits we fall into that dim our light, and the great thing is, we can change them. Welcome to today's video, where we're diving into something that matters deeply: how to protect and boost your happiness as a senior. Specifically, we're going to talk about 5 common mistakes that so many of us make without realizing they're stealing our joy. These aren't big, dramatic errors, they're everyday habits that creep in and weigh us down. By spotting them and making a few simple shifts, you can feel lighter, more connected, and genuinely happier. Whether you're 60, 75, or 90, these tips are practical, doable, and designed to fit into your life right now. So, grab a cup of tea, get comfortable, and let's get started with the first mistake. One of the biggest happiness killers for seniors is letting isolation sneak into our lives. Now, I'm not talking about choosing to enjoy your own company. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean when we start pulling back from people, even just a little, without meaning to. Maybe you've stopped going to that weekly book club because it feels like too much effort. Or you've been saying no to coffee dates with friends because you're tired or think they're too busy for you. Over time, those small choices add up, and before you know it, you're spending more time alone than feels good. Research shows that social connection is like oxygen for our emotional health. Without it, we start to wilt. Loneliness can creep in, and it's not just about feeling sad. It can zap your energy, make you less motivated, and even affect your physical health. So, how do we fix this? It's simpler than you might think, and you don't need to overhaul your entire social life. Start with one small step: reach out to someone this week. It could be a friend you haven't talked to in a while, a neighbor you wave to but don't really know, or even a family member. Send a quick text, make a short phone call, or invite them for a walk. If that feels like too much, try joining a local group that matches your interests. Maybe there's a gardening club, a senior center with card games, or even an online community if getting out is tough. The key is to make one connection, no matter how small, and build from there. For example, my friend Margaret, who's 72, felt like she was drifting away from her social circle after her husband passed. She started attending a weekly knitting group at her library, and just those 2 hours a week gave her new friends and a reason to smile. You don't need a packed calendar, just 1 or 2 meaningful connections can make a world of difference. Now, let's move on to the second mistake, which is something so many of us do without even realizing it: dwelling on the past. It's natural to look back on our lives, especially when we've lived through so many rich experiences. Maybe you think about the what-ifs. What if you'd taken that job, moved to that city, or patched things up with someone years ago? Or maybe you're replaying moments where you feel you fell short. Those thoughts can feel like they're just part of aging, but here's the truth: when we spend too much time in the past, we're robbing ourselves of the present. It's like trying to drive a car while staring in the rearview mirror. You're not going to enjoy the road ahead. The fix for this is to gently shift your focus to the here and now, and one of the easiest ways to do that is through gratitude. I know, gratitude might sound like a buzzword, but it's powerful and practical. Try this: every evening, take 5 minutes to write down 3 things from your day that made you feel good or brought you a bit of joy. They don't have to be big. Maybe it was a warm sunny afternoon, a kind word from a cashier, or the taste of your morning coffee. If writing isn't your thing, just think about them before bed. This small habit trains your brain to notice the good stuff happening right now, which crowds out those heavy thoughts about the past. For instance, my neighbor Tom, who's 68, used to get stuck thinking about his old career and missed opportunities. He started this gratitude trick, and he told me it's like his days feel brighter because he's noticing little moments he used to overlook. It's not about ignoring the past, it's about making room for today's happiness. We've covered two big mistakes so far, letting isolation creep in and dwelling on the past, and you can see how these habits, though common, can quietly chip away at your joy. The good news is that with small, intentional changes, you can turn things around. Next, we're going to dive into another mistake that's all about how we talk to ourselves and the people around us. It's something that can make or break your relationships and your sense of self-worth, so stick with me as we keep going. Let's keep rolling with our conversation about those sneaky habits that can dim your happiness as a senior. We're diving into the third mistake now, and this one's a biggie: neglecting the hobbies and passions that used to light you up. Think back to a time when you lost yourself in something you loved. Maybe it was gardening, painting, playing cards, or even tinkering with a car. Those moments didn't just pass the time, they gave you a sense of purpose, didn't they? But as we get older, it's so easy to let those things slip. Maybe you've told yourself you're too old for that now, or your hands aren't as steady, or you just don't have the energy. Whatever the reason, when we stop doing the things that bring us joy, it's like turning off a piece of our heart. That spark fades, and it can leave us feeling a little empty, even if we don't realize why. The good news is you don't have to let those passions stay in the past, and you don't need to be as spry as you were at 40 to enjoy them. The fix is to carve out just a small pocket of time, say 30 minutes a week, to reconnect with something you love. If your old hobby feels out of reach, try a simpler version or something new that scratches the same itch. For example, if you used to love painting but arthritis makes it tough, you could try watercolor pencils, which are easier to handle, or even digital art apps on a tablet. If you were a card shark but don't have a group to play with anymore, look for online bridge or poker games. There are tons of platforms designed for seniors. My cousin Louise, who's 76, used to spend hours in her garden, but when her knees started acting up, she switched to container gardening on her porch. She grows herbs and flowers in pots, and she says it's like her soul gets a little sunshine every time she tends to them. The point is to find one thing, no matter how small, that makes you feel alive again. Start this week, pick one activity and give it a try. You might be surprised how much joy it brings back. Now, let's talk about the fourth mistake, which is all about how we handle the people in our lives, specifically, avoiding tough conversations. As we age, relationships with family, friends, or even neighbors can get complicated. Maybe your kids don't call as often as you'd like, or a friend said something that stung, and you've been carrying that hurt. It's tempting to just let it go, to avoid rocking the boat. Confrontation isn't fun, and we often think staying quiet keeps the peace. But here's the catch: when we bottle up those feelings, they don't disappear. They fester, turning into resentment or distance that chips away at our happiness. And deep down, those unresolved issues can make us feel disconnected, like we're not being heard or valued. So, how do we fix this? It's about having those tough talks, but in a way that feels manageable and kind. You don't need to storm into a big confrontation, just start with one honest, calm conversation. Pick a time when you're both relaxed, and focus on how you feel rather than pointing fingers. For example, if you're feeling ignored by your adult kids, you might say, "I've been missing our chats lately, and I'd love to catch up more. How can we make that work?" This opens the door without making them defensive. If it's a friend who's hurt you, try something like, "I felt a bit off after our last talk. Can we clear the air?" My friend Robert, who's 70, had a falling out with his son over a misunderstanding. Instead of letting it sit, he invited him for coffee and just laid it out gently. They didn't solve everything in one go, but that talk got them back to texting regularly, and Robert says it's like a weight lifted off his chest. The goal isn't to fix everything at once, it's to take one step toward rebuilding trust. This week, think of one relationship where a small, honest talk could make a difference, and give it a go. It's not about being perfect, it's about showing up for yourself and the people you care about. We're making great progress here, peeling back these habits that hold us back from the happiness we deserve. We've talked about reconnecting with hobbies and facing tough conversations head on, and you can see how these small shifts can open up so much joy. Next, we're going to wrap up with the fifth mistake, one that's all about how we treat ourselves and the surprising impact it has on our daily mood. Stay with me as we bring this all together. We're in the home stretch now, and I'm so glad you're still with me as we unpack these habits that can quietly steal our happiness. Let's dive into the fifth mistake, which is one we often overlook: ignoring self-care. Now, when I say self-care, I'm not talking about fancy spa days or expensive retreats, though if that's your thing, go for it. I mean the small, everyday ways we show ourselves kindness and respect. As we get older, it's easy to put everyone else first: your kids, grandkids, maybe even a neighbor who needs help. Or maybe you've convinced yourself that taking time for yourself is selfish or unnecessary. But here's the truth: when we skip those little acts of care, we're draining our own cup. And when that cup's empty, it's hard to feel joyful, connected, or even patient with the people around us. So, what does self-care look like in practice? It's about finding one thing you can do each week that makes you feel good, inside and out. It could be as simple as taking a warm bath with some soothing music, spending 10 minutes reading a book you love, or even treating yourself to a favorite snack without guilt. For some, it's about feeling good in your skin, maybe trying a new hairstyle or wearing an outfit that makes you stand tall. My friend Clara, who's 82, started a weekly ritual of painting her nails a bright color, just for herself. She says it's not about vanity, it's about feeling vibrant and reminding herself she's still here, still shining. The key is to pick something that feels like a gift to yourself, not a chore. This week, carve out 15 minutes for one thing that lifts your spirit. It's like recharging your battery: you'll feel the difference, and so will the people around you. Now, let's bring this all together. We've talked about 5 habits that can sneak up on us and dim our happiness: letting isolation creep in, dwelling on the past, neglecting our passions, avoiding tough conversations, and skipping self-care. Each one might seem small, but together, they can weigh heavy on your heart. The beautiful thing is, you don't need to overhaul your life to fix them. Reach out to a friend or join a group to stay connected. Take 5 minutes each night to notice the good in your day. Spend a little time on a hobby that sparks joy. Have that one honest talk with someone you care about. And don't forget to treat yourself with the same kindness you'd give a dear friend. These are small steps, but they add up to a life that feels fuller, brighter, and more like you. I want you to know that your happiness matters, and it's never too late to make these changes. Whether you're 60, 75, or 90, you deserve to wake up each day with a little more lightness in your step. So, try one of these fixes this week. Maybe start with that phone call or that moment of gratitude, and see how it feels. I'd love to hear about it. Drop a comment below and share what you're going to try, or tell me about a habit you've already kicked that's made a difference. Your story might inspire someone else watching this. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up. It really helps us reach more people like you. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more tips on living your best life as a senior. We're in this together, and I'm cheering you on. Here's to finding more joy, one small step at a time. See you in the next video.